What's up, guys? Welcome back. Mr. C's Corner. It is Friday, May 8th. It's Dress Up Friday, Hype Up Friday. Another week of online learning done. Good job. You did it. Only a couple more left. First one of May is done. So since it's Hype Up Friday, that's right, we are listening to Panic at the Disco while we discuss a current event that I saw. Today we're going to be talking about these retail giant stores, specifically J. Crew. So in the past, we've discussed buying trends and we've discussed the giants like Amazon and Walmart, right? And how they are prevailing and succeeding during this Corona economy, okay? But what about the other retailers? How are they doing? Because I'm pretty comfortable in my sweatpants that I wear every day, the same 5 pair that I wear every day. So I'm not buying really any other clothes at this point, right? But anyway, so I'm talking about retail stores today, and specifically J. Crew. J. Crew became the first major retailer to file for bankruptcy. The thing is, though, J. Crew will continue selling online and will eventually open their physical stores once this whole social distancing thing comes underneath control. So some history about J. Crew. J. Crew originally started in 1947 as a popular plan club. So they were really popular back in the day. You'd sign up for a subscription and they would send you a box of their when items that they had for sale, and then they would bill you for that box. And it reached its all-time high in popularity when Michelle Obama showed off some J. Crew green gloves during the first inaugural parade of Barack Obama. So that's when they became really, really popular, and that was pretty recently. And then they've been having trouble ever since 2011, but I'll get there. And that same year, though, that Michelle Obama sported the green gloves, J. Crew also listed a $2,000 sweater for sale. So curious to see how many people bought that. So anyway, so J. Crew has been struggling during the past few years, and they've been highlighting all their sales that they have going on. So made me really curious, because I know J. Crew is just having sales all the time. They send me a million emails explaining their current sale. So I did some research, and I actually went on J. Crew's website and I looked at their sales that are going on. So your first question, you're going to have to do the same. What sales are going on at J. Crew right now? Put your response on Schoology. So that's your first question. There have been a couple events leading up to bankruptcy for J. Crew. It didn't just happen right now. J. Crew, it actually used to be a publicly traded company back in 2011. And then 2 private investors, private equity firms, got together to buy 100% of all the stock available for J. Crew, and they took the company private. In order to take out that company, to take out that money to buy J. Crew, they borrowed $3 billion. A lot of money, right? J. Crew is still bound to that $3 billion, that debt that they've had, and they've had it since 2011. So they still are paying off that $3 billion to this day. It's 2020. Granted, yes, $3 billion over 9 years, very hard to pay off, but still, like, they're definitely not out of the water, obviously. But anyway, J. Crew, they have $1.7 billion in debt and only $1.65 billion of everything else, which includes their stores and their inventory. Think about that. They have $1.7 billion in debt, but they only have $1.65 billion in assets. It's tough doing business that way. So the bankruptcy filing will allow J. Crew to stay in business, technically, and sell online until stores are reopening. And they will continuously spam your emails with all their sales and promotions that they have going on. So some more about J. Crew. They actually acquired Madewell, which quickly rose to popularity. Yeah, I know Madewell. I know them more than J. Crew. But then J. Crew saw that it was fast growing, right? And it was super uber popular. And they know they had that $1.7 billion of debt on their back. And they want to, lighten that load a little bit. They tried to spin off Madewell that's a fast-growing company, into a public company this year so it could raise money to pay back all that debt. So they were going to take Madewell and they were going to have an IPO, or initial public offering of stock for Madewell. But the IPO never happened because of this Corona economy and everything going on. So J. Crew did not and could not list Madewell as a public company, and they were really banking on that to alleviate some of that pressure of that $1.7 billion of debt that they still had. Anyway, but the Corona economy didn't cause J. Crew's bankruptcy, and I'm not sad for J. Crew. I've been mentioning 2011, 2017, years in the past that J. Crew has been having these troubles. But this Corona economy didn't cause J. Crew to go bankrupt. It only accelerated this process. And it is not the only retail company that is struggling right now. So some potential next retail companies that could be going out, but I'm just guessing right here. Some retail companies that could be on their way out, or could be the next ones to file for bankruptcy. J. Hilburn, so this is true, they filed for bankruptcy this past week also. J. Jill is also talking to financial advisors. So that means when they're talking to financial advisors, they're how they're going to consolidate debt, or what they should do with the money that they do have. J.C. Penney, Belk, and Brooks Brothers were struggling and closing stores before the outbreak. So if they were already closing stores before, physical stores where the majority of their business happens with foot traffic, how do you think they're going to be? How do you think they are now, and how do you think they're going to be a month from now? Anyway, Macy's also brought in financial advisors to talk to them about their finances, structured debt, whatever. I know Macy's been struggling. JCPenney definitely been struggling because of the whole mall situation. I know malls are tough, right? I actually talked about that in my classes, in person. So anyway, and then the last one is Neiman Marcus. If you thought that $3 billion, $1.7 billion, whatever billion that J. Crew had was a lot, this Neiman Marcus has $4.3 billion in debt. A lot of money. So, second question, right? You're going to put it on School G. Your second question is, do you shop at any of these retailers? If yes, which ones? And if no, why not? I do. I shopped at JCPenney. I would buy all my dress shirts and dress pants and ties and belts and all that stuff from JCPenney or Macy's. So those are the only two that I know of, like J. Hilburn and J. Jill and Neiman Marcus, Belk. I never really heard of. I've heard of Brooks Brothers. I know that's higher end, kind of like J. Crew. But anyway, is it the turnover of the leadership that's the problem with J. Crew, though? Over the past 4 years? So within the past 4 years, they have had 4 CEOs and 4 executives having some sort of CEO power. 8 people in charge over the past 2 years. So it seems like they had trouble with their leadership, and I'm hoping all this turnover stops, right? Hopefully their current CEO is the man for the job to help them bounce back after this whole bankruptcy. And also, another thing, I looked up their stores. They have about 350 locations where half are discounts. So half of the 350 stores are discount stores, where the other half are full price stores. So you have, for every discount store you have one retail. I don't know. I'm not a retail clothing expert, but something just doesn't make sense to me. As we're wrapping up today's video, I don't feel bad for them, and you can feel bad for them, but I don't feel bad for them because the problem started way long ago. And with all this turnover of leadership, it's not good. So, stemming from financial burden since 2011 with the turnover in leadership, might have a say in the reason why J. Crew filed for bankruptcy. Anyway, that's today's episode. Another week done. Good job. Appreciate it. Make sure you check the comment section for bell ringer. And that's where we're at. I'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.